The airport officers watched as the woman walked towards them. It was obvious from the clothes she was wearing and the expensive purse she was carrying that she was very wealthy.
Wow, just look at her. Oh, to be as rich and famous as her. Yeah, I know. I'd be happy with half her money. Shh.
The woman approached the x-ray machine. One of the officers went to check her, whilst the other stared at the computer screen displaying the contents of her purse.
What is that?
The officer rubbed his eyes. It looked like a tiny person was inside the purse.
That's ridiculous. It must be some kind of error with the machine. Okay, ma'am, you can go.
Hi, I'm Abigail, and I'm that tiny person. Crazy, right? If you think that's crazy, then you will lose your mind when you see what happens at the end of the story. Let me take you back to the beginning, where it all started. It was a Saturday afternoon in the middle of summer. I was in my local shopping mall just minding my own business when I suddenly noticed a huge crowd had gathered at the other side of the mall. Wonder what's going on over there? I walked over at the crowd to see what they were looking at. Oh my God, I don't believe it! Standing in the middle of the mall was the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. I instantly knew who she was. It was Carrie Tulip, the famous model. It was love at first sight. From that moment on, I became obsessed with Carrie. I couldn't get her out of my mind. I spent all my time Googling her, watching video after video clip of her. If I saw her face on the front cover of a magazine, I had to buy it. I just lived and breathed Carrie Tulip. It even got to the stage that my parents began to worry about me.
Abigail, it's not healthy. All you do is lock yourself in your room watching that model on television or looking at photographs of her. You never spend any time with your friends.
I'm fine, Mom. I don't need any friends. I've got Carrie.
But that's crazy. She's never going to be there for you. She has her own life, and you will never be a part of it.
I didn't care what my mom said. I knew that one day Carrie would want me in her life. I was convinced of it.
I think you should talk with someone about obsession. I've made an appointment with a therapist for you.
Oh, Mom, I'm fine. I don't need therapy.
I think you do. Please, just go to one session. For me?
I sighed. Okay, Mom, just for you. I did as Mom asked and went to talk to the therapist. He tried to persuade me to stop spending my time following Carrie on social media.
Do you think that you could try and go out and see your real friends instead of fixating on this model that you're never going to meet?
I wanted to say no, but I knew that if I did, then my mom would make me have more therapy. So instead, I pretended to agree with him. I guess you're right. I should really focus on my own life. I'll go out and see my friends a bit more.
Good girl. It's for the best, you'll see.
But I didn't do as he asked. In fact, I became even more obsessed with Carrie. I started following her manager on social media so that I could see where she would be appearing next. And that's how I found out that she was coming to a runway show in my town. I have to get a ticket for that show. There's no way I'm going to miss this opportunity. But when I saw the price of the tickets, my heart fell. There's no way I can afford that. I haven't got any money. I had never felt so sad in all of my life. It's not fair. I have to get some money from somewhere. Now, I'm ashamed to admit this to you, but in my defense, I was desperate. I needed money and I needed it quickly. So, I resorted to the only way I could think of to get the money. I stole from my friends at school and bullied kids into giving me their money. Hey you, come here. The little kid looked at me nervously. I mean it, come here, now.
Yes?
Give me all of your money. His eyes filled with tears as he handed his money over to me. Get on, get out of my sight. I watched as he ran off, tears rolling down his cheeks. I did feel a bit guilty. I knew it was wrong, but it was worth it. I bought the tickets, and on the morning of the show, I told my parents I was going to meet my friend Tracy in town. I knew that if I told them I was going to the runway show, they would try to stop me.
Have fun, darling. Say hello to Tracy.
I will do. I don't know how long I'll be, so don't worry about me. When I got to the show, I took my seat and waited for Carrie to come out onto the runway. The minute she stepped onto the stage, the whole room gasped out loud.
Oh wow, she is truly stunning.
Beautiful. She's like an angel.
I watched as she walked towards me, then turned on her heels and sashayed off in the opposite direction. As Carrie walked off the stage, I knew that I had to try to see her again. I jumped up and ran to the back of the stage. I've got to find a way to speak to her. Suddenly, the backstage door opened. I grabbed the chance and snuck through it. There were lots of people all running around, carrying dresses for models to change into and shouting to everyone to hurry up. Then I saw her. She was standing by herself on the other side of the room. I walked up behind her. "Hi, Carrie." She turned around and her face fell in shock. I had obviously startled her. I was about to say that I just wanted to be her friend, but before I had the chance, she lifted what looked like a water gun and shot a beam of light straight at me. I was shocked. Suddenly, the world around me started growing, or I started shrinking. I was tiny. What's happening to me? I was about to start freaking out, but then I noticed Carrie's purse. I didn't hesitate for a second. I ran as fast as I could and jumped inside the purse. My heart was racing. I don't believe it. I'm actually inside Carrie's purse. I was so happy to be close to her. I didn't even care that I was only 3 inches tall. The next few weeks were the best weeks of my life. I loved going everywhere with Carrie. Listening to her voice every day made me fall more and more in love. Sometimes I did wonder why I was suddenly so tiny and why Carrie's weird invention had that ability, but I was more enamored by Carrie than concerned. Whenever any doubts crept into my mind, I pushed them away. It doesn't matter how I got this size, it's just lucky that I get to spend all of my time with Carrie. No one had any idea I was there. I did almost get caught one time. Carrie was going through an x-ray machine at the airport when one of the officers seemed to notice me in the bag. I held my breath and stayed as still as I could. Eventually, he let her pass through. Phew, that was close. I thought that I would never get caught, but then one day, my perfect life came crashing down. I was inside the purse, sleeping, when I suddenly felt a hand reaching around my body and pulling me out of the purse. It was Carrie! She had been trying to find her lipstick or something and had mistakenly picked me up. For a split second, we both just stared at each other, lost for words. But then Carrie screamed. Ah! She put me down on the table and placed a glass over me, chapping me. "Please, I'm sorry. You have to forgive me."
But how? How did you get in my purse?
"I don't mean you any harm. I just wanted to be close to you." Carrie seemed to calm down when she realized I wasn't a threat. "Do you mind if I ask you a question?"
What?
"How did you shrink me with that gun?"
Oh, that. Yeah, this is one of my dad's inventions. He's a scientist. One day we had a big argument and I took it from his lab. I only wanted to spite him. I never intended to use it, but then that day you scared me and I pulled the gun on you.
It's okay, I understand. I guess it was a bit of a shock to see me standing there.
Don't worry, I'll make sure you get back to normal size again.
The thought of not being able to travel in Carrie's purse anymore made me sad, but then I thought about my parents. They're probably worried about me. I suppose I should go back to normal. Carrie lifted the glass from the top of me. Then she picked up the gun and switched it to the reverse option. She pointed it at me and blasted the laser. In a flash, I was back to my normal size.
You have to go now. I'll get my driver to drop you off at home.
I knew that it was my only chance to tell her how I felt. I took a deep breath and blurted out, "I'm in love with you." Carrie stood there looking shocked at first, but then the shock turned to anger.
Get out! Are you crazy? I don't want to spend another minute of my time with you. You're nothing to me.
I was shocked and confused. How could Carrie speak to me like that? Then Carrie shoved me out of the door and locked it behind me. I stood there staring at the wooden door. I was so shocked, but then I began to realize. Maybe my love for Carrie is all imagined. I think I might have been in love with the image of Carrie, not the actual Carrie. When I got home, my parents were shocked to see me. I thought my dad was going to faint. His face was so white, it was like he had seen a ghost.
Abigail, where have you been? We've been worried sick.
I went to see Carrie at a runway show. I snuck backstage to see her, and she blasted me with a shrinking gun until I was only 3 inches tall. I've been living in her purse, going everywhere with her. My mom looked taken aback, but then she began to get angry.
Abigail, this is no time for jokes.
I just shrugged my shoulders. It's the truth.